Hi, I'm Kerry, and this is my Wall Township single-family property market update as of June 1st. This is going to be an interesting one because we've seen some atypical activity, and it's been the talk of the town amongst us realtors. My analysis has actually confirmed what's going on, and I can give you some insight into what has changed. So this May, we saw something very different. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I study the relationship between the days on the market and the percentage of asking price received, and it's usually a very predictable pattern. The longer a home sits, the less it sells for. That's why strategic pricing from day one is so important. It creates urgency and drives the strongest offers. But this May, we saw something different. Properties that sat longer than the typical 10 to maybe 14 days on market still sold for asking price or above. And that is not typical, and it tells me buyers are hesitating longer before making decisions, but when they do, they're still willing to pay full price for the right home. In this market, pricing right still wins, but we may need a touch more patience than usual. So we're going to take a look now at the actual activity. 17 properties closed in the month of May, and the first 6 closed in under 13 days or less, and they commanded, as you would expect, market value or greater, except for one that got 93%. It was slightly overpriced, according to buyers. But what's interesting is there were 9 properties that closed anywhere from 15 days to all the way up to 41 days, and a lot of them still commanded asking price or above. So that's what's not typical, especially to see properties here at 37 and 41 days getting over asking price is very unusual. The last 2 properties that closed in 73 and 100 days and commanded a far less than asking price is typically what we're used to seeing, so nothing new there. Now I want to explain to you why it's happening. And what I believe is that buyers are pausing before pouncing. And I definitely felt this with one of my newest listings that was definitely priced to sell quickly. I felt that buyers coming in and loving the home were still taking their time. They seemed like they weren't rushed, like there was no urgency. So many buyers today are hyper aware of interest rates, insurance costs, and economic uncertainty, and that's what's causing them to take up pause and really think things through. So instead of jumping into bidding wars, some are waiting to see if prices soften, even on great properties that they absolutely love. But when they realize inventory is still really tight and the property meets their criteria, they still pay full price or more. But they just take a longer time to get to that point. Low inventory is keeping pressure on the pricing. So despite the slower decision-making, supply is still low in Wall, and this creates a backlog of demand. So well-priced homes eventually attract multiple interested buyers, if not instantly, as we're used to. The result, asking price is still achieved, but not with a bidding war on day one. Another factor that could be contributing is summer uncertainty and timing. May is often a transitional month. The school years are ending, vacation plans are forming, and some buyers hit pause. They're just too busy. That creates artificial days on market inflation, like what we're seeing. But once these buyers come off the sidelines, they move decisively. So let me just wrap that up. Days on market is increasing slightly, but that doesn't mean values are dropping. Not at all. Buyers are hesitating, but not then negotiating. Well-prepared, well-priced homes are still commanding asking price or more, just on a delayed timeline. So I never like to stop with the closed properties. I want to take it a step further and look at what's currently sitting as of June 1st in pending status. Now, we don't know what value they're going to command, but I just want to see how quickly those properties have gone under contract. There are 32, as you'll see on this spreadsheet, that went under contract and are still pending closing. Exactly half of the 32 homes that went under contract did so in the first 14 days. That's fantastic. And it's safe to assume they will close for asking, and many or most will close for higher than asking. Then when you look at the second half of the 32 properties, 10 more went under contract in 15 to 31 days. But we can no longer assume, based on our analysis of May closed listings, that these properties won't also receive offers of asking price or even over, though that is not typically the case. It is the case now. Lastly, there were an additional 5 of those 32 pending homes that took between 32 and 54 days. And we can't even assume that they will receive less than asking, because properties that closed at 37 and 41 days this month still received 100% of asking price. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the one last property that was on the market for 54 days closes for. There was one final property that took 204 days to close. I don't anticipate that one's going to get asking price. I'm sure it's going to be more typical, and we're going to see a big gap between asking price and close price on that one. So in conclusion, the Wall property market is still hot and a strong seller's market, but buyers are taking longer to jump in, creating a less than normal market condition. So while I'm watching those longer days on market pendings closely, based on what we've seen, I would not assume that these sellers are in weak negotiating positions. The only exception might be that one that took over 200 days to go under contract. That's a very different story. I hope you found this interesting. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them. Just reach out to me, and I'll do that. Thank you.